November 180 Bravo Bravo, good afternoon to you. Report your altitude.
2,000 feet.
Hi, Wycliffe Barrett, Xplane Dedicated. Today I'm going to go back to an old video which I did a long time ago, which was the top 5 payware and the top 5 freeware. What I'm going to do today is the top 5 payware and the top 5 must-have add-ons, third-party developers add-ons that I think you should have. This is only my personal opinion. It's a not for paid for endorsement. I'd like to say thank you to Nicholas at Xplane.org for his continued support, and we'll get right into it. So, in terms of payware aircraft, I believe there are the top 5, in my personal opinion, are, first off, the Cessna 172 from Airfoil Labs. I think this is an incredible representation of the aircraft itself. It has so much within it. There's so many different things about this aircraft that make it really top-notch for me. First of all, there's the flight dynamics. The flight dynamics are as close to reality as I can remember. I've flown Cessnas. I tend to fly more in a Tomahawk, but from what I remember, it does feel and behave more or less exactly like the real thing. But there's lots of other things about this. You've got like a maintenance panel, you've got an engine inspection panel, there is a sound panel, there's camera panels. This aircraft has got an awful lot in it in terms of what you can do in working with the different systems. It's a brilliant little aircraft. It's absolutely superb for GA. The sound on it is not perfect, but it's very good. So it's got a good sound set, but it's not a perfect sound set. And sometimes it can feel a little bit twitchy, but it is, you know, you sort out your controllers and it's fabulous. I really do like it, and it's a joy to fly. And it's one of those aircraft you can jump in, just turn the ignition switch and the engine's running, and there's got like a little shake in it. There's one thing in it that some people might not find that they like, and it's known as dynamic zoom or something, or movement. And basically, as you turn, you'll see the cockpit go in the opposite direction to your turn and things like that. It's an attempt at creating some kind of reality. It doesn't bother me, but some people I know who've used it, they've suffered motion sickness with it, especially wearing track IR. Anyway, the Airfoil Labs Cessna 172, I give it a solid 9.5. I give it a solid 9.5. Flight factor 767. When Flight Factor announced that they were doing this, I was really pleased because I do like the 767, and they'd done the 757 before, but then they released the 767, and I have to say, this aircraft is near perfect. I find it absolutely incredible. It does everything that you ask of it, so it never kind of misses a waypoint. It doesn't do crazy things. The FMC is near as I can say perfect. The sound set on it is absolutely superb. The exterior modelling is genius. The interior cockpit systems depth is absolutely incredible. I mean, you can get so deep into this aircraft, and it is a very, very good representation of a 767 cockpit. I adore this aircraft. For me, I say that this is near perfect. Nothing's ever perfect, because, you know, if everything was perfect, then there'd be nothing to strive for. So it's not perfect, but it is near as you can get it. And I think that anybody who's interested in jetliners, then this is the aircraft that you must have. It's got to be the first aircraft that you put in your hangar, without a doubt. Flight factor 767, absolutely superb. And I would give it like 9.9, without a doubt, 9.9. So that's the 767, which is Boeing, and moving to the other side of the market, so to speak, is the A330 from Jar Design. Jar Design have been around for quite some time, and they've produced a number of aircraft, and each one is like an advance on the previous one. So Jar Design, they came out with the A320, but the A330, the Jar Design A330 is absolutely, it's stonking. It's a great word, isn't it? It's stonking, which means very, very, very good. I would give it a solid 9.5 because they're just one kind of fly in the ointment, and that sometimes it will miss a waypoint, especially if it's coming to coming off the flight plan and going onto the star, it might miss that waypoint. But that's easily rectified. You just, go into manage mode, come back onto track and then just hit LNAV and VNAV, or autopilot 1 again, should I say, and it'll just come back straight onto the flight plan. Descent control is really good, but sometimes I think it might be a little bit slow, so you have to then increase your vertical speed yourself. But even so, I find that even though it's a large aircraft, it lands beautifully, it flies wonderfully well. I would give it a solid 9.5. And then finally, our fourth aircraft in the payware has got to be the IXEG 737. And I will say that these are in no particular order, so I'm not, they're not ranked in any way. But the IXEG 737, which has just come out, once again, from me personally, it gets a near perfect rating, so it's near perfect. If you've never flown an aircraft of this complexity, you need to read the manuals or watch the tutorials. At the very least, you have to read the manuals and watch the tutorials. It is a complex aircraft. It's very systems deep. Everything works. So if there is a problem with hydraulics, then that will be replicated all the way through the aircraft, okay? So it's a systems deep, systems rich, study level aircraft. It's not one to be taken on lightly. If you've never flown an aircraft of this type, you need to read the manuals. I recently on the Facebook groups, I've noticed people saying, this isn't working, that isn't working, why does it do this, why does it do that? And sorry to say it, but those are all pilot errors. And people are saying they're bugs. They're not bugs, they are pilot errors. So you've got to read the manuals for the 737. And once again, from me, it gets a near perfect mark. And I would put it at 9.9. And IXEG have really raised the bar for aircraft in Xplane. Finally, and this is really a late one, it comes in really, really late, and this is the PMDG DC6. PMDG took an awful long time to come to Xplane. They spent, I think it was something like 3 years in development. They spent an awful lot of time. I think they chose the wrong aircraft to introduce themselves to Xplane. I can't see them making a lot of money off this, not an awful lot of revenue. But if you're interested in classic turboprops from a bygone age, then this is the aircraft for you. It really, really is good. Incredibly complex. It's a beast of an aircraft to fly on your own because it's got 8 fuel tanks, there's an engineer station, it is a massive amount of work. But PMDG, they have cleverly put in something known as the automatic flight engineer. And the automatic flight engineer will take care of a lot of the donkey work. In actual fact, this is one of the easiest aircraft to just jump in and fly. You can literally load it up, start the automated flight engineer, and he will go through everything. And all you have to do really is push the throttles and play about with the yoke. It is a complex aircraft. It takes a lot of learning. There are massive manuals. There's 2 tutorials in there. There's an introduction to the aircraft. It is huge. But if you get to grips with this one, then you will have met a challenge and you will have really tested yourself. And I would say that it's very good. There are some errors, there are some problems with it, and I've noticed going onto the PMDG forums, that the official forums, that there are a few bugs that have not been seen through the beta phase. But PMDG have worked very quickly on one major bug, which was to do with texturing at night time. They moved very quickly apparently on that one, and they kind of sorted it out before a lot of people even saw the bug, so that's good. PMDG may have learnt something from IXEG, who knows. So those are my top 5 payware ones. Of all of those, I've paid for every single one of them. I've paid for every single one of them, so it's my personal opinion, and this is a not paid for endorsement, okay? I haven't been paid to say any of these things. It's just my personal opinion, and if you can go along with that, then great. All the links to those aircraft will be below.
A few moments later.
Moving on then to third-party apps. Third-party apps, now they come in all sorts of colours and variations, and we have freeware ones and we have payware ones. all of these are payware, I'm afraid. And what I need to do is I'll actually need to do a freeware vlog, I think. But the top 5 third-party apps, in my opinion, nobody else's, just my opinion, are all payware. But I think if you have these, then you have a solid Xplane installation. All right. First up is EFASS, which is Electronic Flight Assistant. EFASS has been around for 2, maybe 3 years, and promised a huge amount. In fact, I still think, even with some of its problems, I still think that EFASS is the application to have in terms of flight planning, a moving map, weather reporting, fuel management, etc., etc. Now, there are a few problems with it, and those problems have been brought about because, unfortunately, the lead developer fell ill not long after it was released. He fell ill, unfortunately, and had to really almost take a year out of development and a year out of everything. He had to move from America back to Germany when his health had regained enough that he could do that. And even through that period, though, there was still some problems sorted out. Anyway, even with its problems, and I don't think that insurmountable, EFASS is brilliant. EFASS 2 is on its way, right? It's being worked on, and we've seen screenshots, and apparently the other day there was even a live stream of EFASS 2, which unfortunately I missed. And that was a live stream by a beta tester. So EFASS 2 is going to fix a lot of the things that are wrong with EFASS 1, but even with the problems, I still think that EFASS is great value for money. It does exactly what it says it's supposed to do. It will create flight plans. You can validate them through Eurocontrol. They're not routes that are going to send you wildly out of the wrong direction. And if there is something wrong with the route, then you can edit that and sort it out within the application itself. I still think it's good value for money. I think it's going to be the #1 flight planning tool in Xplane. EFASS is my recommendation. Moving on then, the must-have, and without a doubt, and this is not a paid-for endorsement, I purchased this product myself, is Skymaxx Pro version 3. If you don't buy anything else for Xplane, then you must buy Skymaxx Pro version 3. It now comes with the real weather connector, and the real weather connector is a little widget that actually it helps to draw the weather as it should be in the right place. So you actually see weather fronts and you see layers of clouds, etc., etc. Now, there's a curious thing here. Skymaxx Pro does not, on its own, or of its own, produce upper level winds, okay? All it is, in fact, is it's not a weather engine. Skymaxx Pro is just textures. They're cloud textures, okay? If you want to get the upper level winds, you need to use something called FSGRW, okay? Flight Sim Global Real Weather, Flight Simulator Global Real Weather, FSGRW, which I'm going to come and talk about in a few moments. But if you want the upper level winds, whilst you use the Skymaxx Pro, you need FSGRW. Until Xplane 1050 comes out, because when Xplane 1050 comes out, hopefully the upper level winds will be sorted out. All very confusing, but if you kind of follow what I'm saying, it all makes sense, okay? So Skymaxx Pro version 3 with the real weather connector is a must-have. The clouds in it are absolutely superb. Also, the other thing that Skymaxx have done, they've somehow managed to get all aircraft lights to reflect on clouds, okay? So all aircraft lights reflect on clouds, and as you fly at night down through your descent and the lights, the landing lights are on, you see them shine on the clouds ahead of you. And if you go into an external view, you see them lit up. It's absolutely incredible. There's only one aircraft that it doesn't work with at the moment, and I don't know why, and that's the X737 from EADT. But that's not a big issue. It's not a major issue, okay? Next thing on my third-party apps list is SoundMaxx. Once again, this is from the mAXX guys who did Skymaxx Pro. SoundMaxx is an application that gives you ambient sounds. Okay, so if you're out in the countryside at a grass strip, you'll hear birds tweeting and country sounds. If you go to the beach, you'll hear beach noises and you'll hear the waves lapping on the sand, okay, and seagulls. If there is a thunderstorm, because it replaces all the thunder sound files, if there is a thunderstorm, you really hear a thunderstorm. It's absolutely frightening. And if you go to an airport, a large international airport or a regional airport, you'll hear airport sounds. So you always hear engines running somewhere, you'll hear an aircraft flying over, you'll hear jetliners flying over and turboprops flying over. It's a neat little package. It's really, really clever, and it produces all these ambient sounds which are always around us. You know, if I go into the garden now, and if I was to do this vlog in my garden, you'd hear road traffic noise. Even though I'm quite away from a main road, you'd hear birds tweeting in the garden and all sorts of things. So there's always ambient sound around us, and when you use SoundMaxx, it really brings alive Xplane wherever you are. Especially, I love going out into the countryside in Xplane. Go to a grass strip and listen. Great. Okay. So then the fourth one on my list is FSGRW, right? Flight Sim Global Real Weather. Now, Flight Sim Global Real Weather, that is a weather engine, okay? This is all very confusing. It's a weather engine. It actually generates the weather from metadata all around the world, okay? And so you have one program depicting the weather, so actually drawing the clouds with new textures, and that is Skymaxx Pro. And you have FSGRW placing those clouds and weather correctly within your 3D virtual environment as in the real world, okay? Always remember though, it's 20 minutes behind the real world. 20 minutes behind the real world because of how weather data is propagated around the world on servers, okay? I hope I've made that clear. So you've got one that draws the weather, draws the clouds, and then you've got one that actually places the clouds correctly as to the weather that it receives from weather servers around the world. Finally, number 5 on my third-party add-ons is Navigraph Ultima, okay? If you need charts, and everybody needs charts, this is where you get them from. Navigraph Ultimate. It is slightly costly. It does cost quite a bit of money, and there are alternatives for charts. But in terms of the best, I would go with Navigraph Ultimate. It's got everything on there. The charts are beautifully drawn. They're in colour. All the information is on there. They're totally correct. And they just look so good. It comes with a neat feature in so much as that you can, you've got a viewer, you can import the charts into your aircraft. Also with Navigraph Ultimate you get your ARACs, and those are essential, and for the cost of it all you get access to a 12 months worth of ARACs, excuse me. And it is superb, costly, but looks very, very special. And when you get it, not only do you get it on your PC, you can use it on your iPhone or your Android device, you can use it on an iPad or a tablet. So it's an all-round great package. As I say, a little bit expensive, but I would say it's got to be in the top 5. So there you are, that's it. Top 5 payware aircraft, top 5 third-party apps. I hope you found this video useful, a bit long-winded, and I do apologise for that. I'm going away Friday, you all take care, and we'll see you soon. Cheerio.
Yeah.